Hello, Year 6. As part of our remote learning, each day I will upload a little extract from a class novel that we're going to share. And the book I've chosen is called Sky Circus. I'm going to read it to you today, and the first section is a prologue, a little introduction. The picture in the background is called Circus in the Sky. It's not from the book, but I just thought it might help your enjoyment, help you lose yourself in the book. So, the prologue. 5 years ago. Most people who fall in their dreams wake before they hit the ground. She never did. Instead, she dreamed of flying. In that split second before she crashed to earth, she would throw her arms out wide, stretch her fingers like feathers, and swoop like a bird. Drink the air, kiss the clouds, swallow the sky in one great glorious gulp. Before an angry red sun burned her from the heavens, and she tasted only ash in her mouth. Afterwards, she would wake alone and disorientated, on her hard pallet bed in the attic of the Camden workhouse, and with a pencil mark the date next to all the others on the crumbling plaster. Then she would huddle beneath her rough blankets and think of all the things she missed before getting up. Breakfast was leftovers from the meagre food that had been sent up to her the day before. She fed the stale scraps from her tin plates to the brave birds who came to perch on her windowsill, pushing their hands through the bars to offer them crumbs. When they'd finished, she would watch them wing their way across the rooftops, wishing she could soar as high, but she could no more fly than she could set foot outside the room. She'd been imprisoned for so long she'd forgotten how the weather tasted. The only person she ever clapped eyes on was the kitchen boy. Each afternoon he would saunter across the yard and haul on the creaking pulley to raise her basket of food. Sometimes he would send a message too. When it came time to return the plate, she liked to add a present for him and a note in reply. In spring she sent down empty eggshells from the nesting house sparrows. In summer, feathers from molting pigeons. In autumn, conkers gouged from the green spiked shells that dropped on the roof slates. In winter, it was bones picked white by scavenger crows. She enjoyed his look of surprise when he received these gifts, his tiny eyes sparkling beneath his dark fringe of hair, and the amused grin that lit up his tanned face. His was the sole smile she ever saw, until the day the visitor came. A creak on the stair and a jangle of keys in the lock announced the arrival. Then the workhouse proprietress, Miss Cleaver, opened the door and strode into the room, beckoning her to rise from her bed. The visitor brushed a silver cloud of hair from her face and stepped out from behind Miss Cleaver, across the attic floor. "Good morning, Angela. I've come a long way to see you." Angela. Yes, that was her name. It had been a long time since she'd heard it. She wanted to say hello, but when she opened her mouth to reply, she could find the words neither on the tip of her tongue, nor hidden away deep inside her. She didn't mean to be rude, but sometimes when she was scared, speech would not come. It had been an age since she'd last talked to anyone, and she barely knew where she kept her replies. The visitor came closer, smoothing out a fold in her sky-blue dress, and stopped at Angela's bedside. Soft rays of sunlight filtered through the barred window behind her head, lining her grey locks with angelic streaks of gold. "Can you walk?" the visitor asked. In answer, Angela threw her itchy blanket aside, reached for her stick, and struggled to her feet. The visitor proffered a hand. "Would you like to go on a little journey with me?" Angela hesitated. She'd often longed to leave this attic, but now that freedom had been offered up so plainly, she felt scared. Surely a stranger couldn't be worse than the workhouse, or Miss Cleaver. She didn't feel worse, but feeling sometimes lied. Angela rubbed her eyes and stared unblinkingly at the visitor, who gave her the vaguest of smiles in return. "Take my hand. I promise we are going somewhere special. Somewhere safe. Then when we get there, I will help you find your wings. Would you like that?" Angela nodded. Yes, she would. She would like it very much indeed. It was as if the visitor had seen straight into her dreams. But how could this lady, who looked as if she'd never stretched or strained for anything in her life, teach her, a brittle orphan girl, how to fly? To find out, she would have to risk everything. She glanced one last time around the dusty room, and then reached out and grasped the visitor's hand, holding it tightly in her own. I'll see you for chapter 1 on Monday.